We are a unique small boutique and don't want to sell online. So the question is, how can we still be relevant to today's shopper with reference to the internet?
So a couple of parts to the answer. The first is I'd want to better understand why they don't want to sell online. Because I don't think that's the right answer. I think you need to engage there. I think it's part of the entire store experience. And I don't think it somehow detracts from the feel of your store or the operation. If anything, it's additive. And even if it's not a whole new big market, it's going to, I think, satisfy a current consumer demand that is being set in the marketplace, like you mentioned. So number one, I would argue with the person that let's figure that out together. But let's assume we don't go in that direction. I still think, like what we heard here this morning or this afternoon, is critical. The conversation about your brand is happening online, and you probably want to engage in that conversation versus not being involved at all. So whether it's social media, reaction, or at least making sure you're discoverable in search engines or social sites, you still have an obligation to make sure that whole consumer experience that is around your store, even if you don't have a lot of the operability of e-commerce, it's still your responsibility from a customer engagement perspective to kind of satisfy all those needs. So I don't think you have a choice. I think it is the new normal, and I think the faster you can engage and through some of the blocking and tackling steps that we outline, I think the sooner the better. And I think it's a journey. I think you start with some of the easy things to make sure you're engaging what's already out there, and then over time build on some of the more complicated tools.
Thank you. Let me add, because I'm allowed to make some editorial comments. And you're not, so I'll just set the rules here. But for this merchant, my suggestion certainly is to visit Shopify. I know that a lot of our independent merchants who were concerned about the amount of work, the amount of time, the amount of money that they would require to be online was unjustified, certainly their concern. So for whomever asked the question, there are tons of people wearing Shopify T-shirts. They're all tweeting right now. So go see them, because it's the feedback we got from a lot of our independent merchants was pretty amazing. The next question goes to James at Roots, and here's the question: how can I build a brand awareness and build a business online at the same time? Does one come before the other? Which one comes first, if it does?
I would say it's simultaneous. Really, we at Roots look at our website as our #1 marketing and branding vehicle. And the fact that it is e-commerce enabled is actually just an added benefit. And it's something that your customer experience really is any point that the customer touches you, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or any sort of social media experience. And you've just got to start somewhere. I would say as soon as you go online with your website, you're building your business.
Thank you. Satish, the next question to you. What is the single most important key to content on an e-commerce site that drives traffic to your site?
Great question. It was mentioned just in an earlier presentation. The key is really to become an expert on the topic or problem area of the products you're selling, and not your products themselves. Because you're trying to reach out to people that don't otherwise know about your specific brand and specific name or nomenclature of your own goods. They're trying to learn about that category or that topical interest, or they're trying to solve a problem they have. So if you invest in becoming an expert there, you're more likely to get referral traffic from search engines, or more likely to find people that are willing to share your content with their friends that would be similar profile buyers. Great example is a store called Luxy Hair on our platform that sells hair extensions. They do a ton of video tutorials on YouTube of how to actually do your hair and walk through the entire process with using a variety of their products, but not focused on their products themselves. And they've seen that to be their #1 content strategy.
Thank you. Now, all of you are being very concise, and I think we have more time, so as they say behind the camera, stretch. But because we have a limited number of questions, I'll follow your lead, Jennifer, and see if we can ask more questions as we go. But I will ask the next question to Ben. I love the name of your store, Snuggle Bugz. Given your experience as a brick and mortar retailer with a strong e-commerce presence, what's the best way to quantify web traffic to in-store foot traffic? I think you talked about that a bit in your presentation. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so I think we all would love to have a predictive model that told us exactly, how the two work together. It's not quite that straight. We definitely do see correlations between site traffic and foot traffic in the store. There's definite things like when there's a sale promotion period going on, or even just digital, when we run something digitally, we'll see a drastic spike in foot traffic in the store. Probably a good example of that, it's usually around a promotion or something like that. If we ran a daily deal online, the daily deal sells out online, the stores still have inventory. Basically, it's like immediately within 2 hours, the stores are cleared out of inventory. It's, you can literally see it happen in those scenarios. We're doing a lot more sort of deep dig analysis. We're basically taking all of our analytic web traffic data, and we're bringing it together with our POS data, and we're basically data mining that to try and find more commonalities and more things that we can do to better service our customers and to figure out how those two things work together. I have to say for us, because I'm allowed to talk longer, so I can keep talking. For us, our retail businesses, our bricks and mortar businesses are definitely still more profitable than our online business. It takes a heck of a lot of energy to run an online business. And it's very, very costly to do it at large scale. And for us, we're all about figuring out how to put that customer in the local store, because we still believe that the local store does a better job servicing that customer. They get better customer service. Talking to our staff and feeling our passion, it's really hard to get that online. And as much as we try and build that in our brand and in our social media and everything that we do, you just can't relay it the same way as a staff who's been working for me for 8 years, who's passionate about the brand and do anything for you. So.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to ask the next question to James, but before I go to James, because we do have time, I'll just give you a hint of the question I'd like to ask all of you afterwards. And without putting you on the spot, because I know that I can appreciate the sensitivity coming from Retail Council when we ask someone who's your favorite retailer, and because you serve lots of retailers, you wouldn't pinpoint one in particular, but I think what would be helpful to all of us, to the audience, is to talk about the 3 or 4 merchants you see doing an amazing job, or as a pure play online, or as brick and mortar and online. So if you can think about that, I'll come back to in a moment, but now specifically to James. The question from one of the attendees is, what are some of the upcoming trends you see with fashion-based online retailers, and what can I learn from them from my own business?
It's interesting. I would really focus on content marketing. So just to sort of preempt what I'm probably going to say a little later, companies like Net-a-Porter, actually a local company, Godstyle, does a lot of content that actually pushes you further or closer into a real-world customer experience online through content, as well as the fact that the ability to personalize both the content that you're actually showing online, as well as the merchants or the merchandise that you're showing to a consumer. So, for example, we're testing different things where we will show different merchandise to a consumer that's based in Australia, for example, as opposed to Toronto or Vancouver or Los Angeles. So we're really trying to build a one-to-one, very relevant experience for consumers on our websites and our online channels. Because of the fact that it's all about relevance and it's also about convenience. And it's not convenient for myself as a guy living in Toronto to see shorts in December for women. I get the emails from my competitors and I immediately delete them. I'm able to go and look at my past purchase history look at what I've last purchased and the climate and the weather and where I'm located, I can actually deliver a pretty accurate representation of what that consumer might buy. And in situations like that, although they're hyper-targeted, we're seeing click-through rates above 80%. And it's phenomenal when you look at the fact that the average click-through rate for an email is usually around 16% in the industry. And by doing this personalization, we're able to do even more. And so the third, sorry to keep speaking, but
that's okay.
Look at that. So I think after that, it's really about personalizing product, especially as a smaller business owner. The ability to do personalized product that is custom in some way, shape, or form that's really unique for the consumer. It's something that can really drive your sales and really drive your branding and your uptake of your online business.
Thank you very much. Satish, I'm gonna cheat a bit and edit the question so that you can include also those retailers you think are doing a great job. In fact, the question here is about someone who's fully online and should they be considering brick and mortar. Can you talk about those you think have done the transition really well? For those who do both extremely well.
Totally. First and foremost, I think complementing your online store, online business with in-person events and experiences is really important, really powerful. First and foremost, it's an opportunity to introduce your products to customers that might be more hesitant to buy or try these things. Buy these things without trying them. And when you have a concentrated customer base or a hometown for your business, it's a great way to give them an opportunity to do so. If you're willing to invest, it's also a great way of introducing your products into other geographies that you might not be selling into as much, so you can start to build some social content and goodwill in that local community and local group of influencers, and again, expose your products to more people on a short-term basis. I've also found companies or retailers do pop-up experiences for existing customers only, which is a great way of rewarding people that have been really loyal to you and have been repeat shoppers. So this is where things like sample sales exclusively for existing customers, or cocktail nights, or things of that nature can be strong offline experiences or take the form of pop-up stores. So it's really an opportunity to create a good brand experience, to educate people, to get more people involved with the brand, and it's become very, very easy and popular. It used to be that getting short-term rental spaces was really difficult. That's become quite a bit easier now, as there's specifically dedicated pop-up locations that a lot of landlords in major cities have invested in. There's sites like the storefront.com that list these things and make them accessible and simplify the legalities involved in renting short-term space. So all around it has become quite great. A couple of merchants that come to mind that do this really well. There's a local merchant that started online first, a small toys and collectibles merchant called Mindside. And they started by selling online and reaching kind of unique, targeted niche communities that enjoy these toys or specific brands or enjoy collecting things. And then they actually moved from their online store to open a physical location here at downtown Spadina in Camden. And they did it not to actually expose tons and tons of their inventory, but they do have great new products and a lot of things there. They did it so they could also run toy workshops and other interesting things inside that would become social experiences for their customers to bring their friends into, or meet other people that are interested in those areas. And they could do little kind of toy design or art workshops, or experience and learn about new products together. So I thought that was a really excellent way of moving online to a permanent offline store and doing that really, really well. There's also a space in Kensington called The Home Run, which is a great spot that hosts a lot of local pop-ups and provides space for others, a lot of Shopify merchants that have used it before too, where they have an ongoing community of people that come to this physical space and reach out to online stores and help bring them into their physical space to expose their products to customers. I thought that and the reverse model was a really excellent way for a physical retail business to also get more niche products and bring them out to their customers by treating their own store as a part pop-up space for other merchants.
Thank you. Ben, you started really from scratch, so you're kind of the poster child for a small business. And so you must have looked around and said, you know, who's doing it well? So you must have a top 10 or certainly a top 5. Who would you suggest the folks in the room look at as a great benchmark? Apart from you, obviously.
Perfectly. Yeah, no, I mean, we've made our mistakes just like everybody else. So, I think for me, I mean, it comes back to my space. I spend a lot of time looking at people with similar customers to what I would have and looking at what they're doing. And I like looking at local retailers. So one of the ones that I look up to a lot and have spent, you know, I actually reached out to build a relationship with them to help me build my business. So it's more of almost a mentor type situation is Mastermind Toys. And I don't know if many of you have heard of Mastermind Toys, but they basically started as a small little shop, single store, you know, quite a few years ago now. But they built it up, and you know their premise was a lot the same as our premise. It was all customer service, about the quality of the product, or only having products that you know their kids would want to play with, those types of things. And then as they've scaled the business, they've definitely focused a lot on the digital and social video. You know, they were one of the first ones I saw to create personalities within their own company that were in their videos where, you know, the person actually became someone. And it's a lot of what we tried to do in our business was we just had our digital social girl was having a baby, and she basically wanted to take on that role. And a lot of it came from watching them and what they were doing. And she basically blogged her whole pregnancy. She talked about it, she did videos, and she became like a little celebrity where people actually recognize her now and those types of things. So I think, you know, in terms of a local retailer that, you know, is growing and doing a great job, and, you know, they're my dream. They got a lot of money from somebody, and they're on track to, you know, open 100 stores and take over the world. So, you know, they're beating up on Babies R Us, and so am I. Or they're beating up on Toys R Us, and I'm beating up on Babies R Us. So.
Well, you're doing a fine job. So we're leaving, we're closing with Sam, and you experienced both sides of the border. We will excuse you for the fact that you think Oakville is Toronto. I can't wait to say that. That's because I like it. So, he's still going, what is she talking about? Who do you think is big or small, doing pretty amazing, both in the retail space or not?
Yeah, two profiles. One is large retailers who are recognizing their need to transition and change. So we work closely with Canadian Tire, Sport Check brand. We're also working with President's Choice in the relaunch of that famous brand, the Brisebois. Both are doing new things in the digital space. So Canadian Tire is trying to figure out how do we have a more interactive digital flyer versus the weapons that are dropped off at your front door in the form of the paper flyers. And I just think that when you get these big companies that are willing to change a very traditional space, that's where progress is going to come from. On the President's Choice example, they're actually using consumer insights. So we partnered with them to build a dashboard where we're surfacing searches across Canada for different types of food trends. And then they will build content based on different geographies across Canada, what the most interesting consumer trends are, and what people are searching on a day-to-day basis. And so they're matching up content, whether or not they have products in the President's Choice brand to serve or not. They're simply answering a consumer demand. So I like very traditional large companies that are willing to look at things differently. And then I was in Montreal a few weeks back and met with Frank and Oak, which is I think only a year or two retailer who's really born up online. And we walked through all their operation, and they're building everything within their four walls. So their distribution center, their all of their models and everything, half of which I think are just
their designs.
Designs. Half of which the models, I think folks just work there. In fact, I think one of our employees who was surveying their AdWords looked pretty good with a beard. They brought him in and put him in clothes, and he was on the website a day later. So he's optimizing himself on the website. But what I love about what Frank and Oak is doing is they are so nimble and they can change things on a dime. So because they've got their arms around everything and it's right there, they can spot a trend in their on their site and with consumers, and then very quickly move to that trend. And watching a business build itself and grow very quickly, being that nimble and that intelligent, using consumer insights to grow, that's always inspiring.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I'd like to, on your behalf and on behalf of Retail Council, thank the speakers. I think you'll agree they did an amazing job. So we will.
I will just hop up here and give you guys the lay of the land. So we are going to break now for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to kick off workshops. So this is going to be your opportunity to get hands-on and take some of the insights that you've heard this morning from some of these guys and really put them into practice. So if you have a physical store in this space in 15 minutes time, there is going to be the Google My Business workshop. So Simon and his team are going to help you claim your listing online for free. Some of these guys mentioned that today, so that when your customers are looking for you, you're showing up on search, you're showing up on maps, you're showing up across the web. So you're going to literally leave here today on Google Maps. So again, 15 minutes in this space. After that, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about advertising online, a little bit more about Google AdWords, we're also going to have an introductory one-on-one session on that so you can figure out what it's all about. In the back room today, if you sell online or you're thinking about selling online, we're really, really lucky to have our gurus from Shopify here. They are doing one-on-one consultations. They'll take you through anything you need to know about selling online and answer any questions that you have. Also in the back room, we have our Google search bar. So there's a couple things happening there. First, if you would like to make an appointment with a Google digital expert and have like a one-on-one conversation about how you can use these tools to grow your business more, you can make an appointment in that back room. Someone will call you and you will be able to walk through a lot of tools that are related to your business. Sam mentioned consumer trends. We have a trends wall in the back room, which is pulling all sorts of data about how Canadians are going to be shopping this holiday season related to specific product categories. So really, really interactive. If you're just starting your holiday campaign planning, take a look at that wall. Lots of useful information for you. And finally, we are also demoing Google Glass in the back room. So if you haven't played around with Glass yet, check it out there. Lots of fun. I just want to thank everyone again for being such an attentive audience. Food and drink is in the back room, so please take advantage of it, hydrate, and I hope I have the chance to connect with some of you one-on-one. Thank you.